Hi again everyone, we're going to do autumn. Now, frog mould. Everybody loves a frog, don't they? I think they do, I do. And so we've got frog mould, we've got some of my bonsai leaves, we've got some other leafy stuff, we've got some beautiful bronzy coloured foils, and we've got some beads, and the only thing that's missing is my resident frog. Where is Kermit? I hope he'll show up. Anyway, aside from that, let's get on with this. I've been trying these foils recently. You've probably seen a couple of my videos. They're rather beautiful. The leaves from my bonsais, I've got a few left in my personal stash still. They're not in autumn colours yet. I mean, they'll be spectacular when they are, but for now they're not quite there yet. So these are actually their summer colours, believe it or not. I've got a little bit of fern, and yeah, let's see what we can do. So first thing I want to do is put a little bit of resin into frog, and this is because, as you probably have seen in my previous videos, I usually reckon to get some resin in first before I go putting things in. And I'm just going to give it a quick with my torch, trying not to get against the mould. Now the reason for this is I like to try to get some actual resin against the silicone first, so that there's some between whatever I put in and the mould. It's as simple as that. That way you get like a, yeah, the sort of finish you do with doming with things, almost, you know, you get that sort of, let's put a bit in his legs as well, you get that sort of coat over it, which is always a helpful thing. It just gives it that bit more of a gloss and protects what you're putting in it. So I do tend to put it in a little bit first. Sometimes I'll let it cure, sometimes not, depends what I'm doing really. Now, where are we? I do with my grubby tweezers. Some of these leaves are really tiny, and it just made me think they might go rather well in his knees. There we are. There's one. See if I can find another tiddly tiny. Not so tiny on that piece. That's smallish. There we go. Let's have that little guy. A little bit bigger than the other one, but it doesn't have to be symmetrical. Which colour's got the side's got the most colour? Yeah, let's put him like that. So I'm just going to work my way around, put a few more in, and put a bit more resin, and a few more in, and then I'll show you some other things that I'm going to be putting in. Let's get that into his head. The other things largely are going to be to do with yeah, glitters and beads and things. Let me just find something I can push that more gently in with. A rubber brush would be good, wouldn't it? There's a rubber brush. Oops. I suppose I could have poked it in through his armpit, but you know, anyway, it's going to be fiddly. They're quite small, aren't they? There we are. And there was another one very similar, wasn't there? Here it is. Ah, and I left the stalk on the first one, so let's do the same with this one. There we are. Is that enough leaves? I wonder, I wonder. For now, probably. Now, they will sink a little bit, that's fine. No, let's go over to, oh, there's another small one. Just going to say, let's go over to ferns now. Let's have these. Which is the nicest side? Probably this side. Talk amongst yourselves, you know. This is almost the Claire's Crafty Corner chuck it all in method, but not quite. Not quite, maybe. Nobody does that as well as Claire, do they? Let's see if I can get this up into his nose. I fancy a little bit of green in his nose. yeah, that's gone into his nose. That will do, I think. Now this is a deep pour resin I'm using, and the only reason for that is that I think it will help the bubbles come out from underneath the leaves and all the other things I'm putting in a little better than just a normal resin, because it's less viscous. Look, you see, it's a lot runnier. Now, I've made a mess. I'm always making a mess. I tried to start with it not being a mess. Doesn't always work. Right, now these flakes are beautiful. As you can see, they're a more smooth surface than the usual flakes that we get. Or that I typically get anyway, that's for certain. So I'm just putting quite a bit actually into my pot. The flakes are from Spectrum Noir. I managed to pick them up in a sale for 3 tubs for a fiver, for a tenner. £5 a tub or 3 for a tenner, which was amazing. I will put you the link for the website down below. It looks like they operate in several countries, including UK and USA. So yeah, I'll pop you the link down below in the description. It's better. Now we're going to mix this in. The beads I'm going to put in when it's thickened a bit, I think, because they will sink, obviously. I'm not sure how much this stuff will sink, and it's now all up the sides of my little pot. But I just thought this copper was very kind of autumnal, as well as giving me that sort of nice dose of sparkle. I can't help myself with sparkle. I'm terrible, really. So I'm just going to pour this in. And now some of it will go under the leaves, some of it won't. I'm wondering if I pour it in the feet first. I don't know. There's a little bit of a plan. It's mostly a make it up as I go along, but you know. See, I don't want the sparkle to completely overpower the leaves, so I could have left the leaves to cure first. But I do kind of want it mixed in a bit too, so this is what we're doing. And I didn't want to completely cover with the leaves either. So let's get another leaf in here now. I mean, I don't know how much of the leaves you'll see where, and I don't know. I really don't know. And this really isn't going up into his feet, is it? Guess it will when it fills up a bit more. Not sure if I've put too much of this in now. And I've noticed that the leaf in his nose is actually floating up, which I didn't really want it to. I wanted it to go down, so I'm going to give it a little push. I know what I'll do. I'll put those beads into his toesies. Don't ask me why I'm talking like a 5-year-old. This is bringing out the kid in me, I'm afraid. Might need a little drop more resin to finish that off. Don't know. Yes, his little toesies. Let's put some beads in his toesies. I've got these little tiny spoons. They're really handy for silly little things like this. Now, I'm not going to worry if these all slip down. Kind of wanted them also almost to be like, feel a bit like berries, which is a bit daft really, because they look nothing like berries, but you know. And I'm going to put a couple actually into the resin here and there in the main body, just a little bit. Okay, so I'm now getting everything gloopy and messy. I'm not too worried because these beads are old ones that I've had for donkey's years, never used. So, you know, what I'm figuring is if I haven't used them by now, maybe I wasn't going to at any point. And clearly my little spoon's getting sticky. Okay, just going to push those down. Okay, let's do this one. Yeah, I'm not too worried if I'm getting resin in my bead pot. I don't think I am, but if I am, hey, whatever. I'm having a messy day, can you tell? I think most of my days are messy, to be honest. Right, last foot. Remember the first time I used this mould, I filled this bit up because I thought that was something to do with the frog shape. It isn't. It's just a strengthener for the mould, but it's also really handy because you can stick your thumbs into it when you're demoulding. It really makes the demoulding a lot easier. It's not too difficult a one to demould anyway, to be perfectly honest. Right, and I said I'd sprinkle a few into the main body of the mould. We'll see where they end up. And if they end up in little clumps, fine. There we are. Right, now clearly I am going to need just a tiny bit more resin in there. So I shall mix a little bit more and top it up. Now what I can see is there's some bubbles along his chin, so before I go too much further, I'm just going to pull those out. I could just see a light patch through the mould. And I know this mould does do that. It doesn't matter too much, to be honest. It doesn't really spoil the look too much, but if I spot them, I will pull them out. Right, let's pour this last little bit in then. Then I'll have a bit of a clean up. And then basically I'll just see it for the demould. I will spritz the back of it with some alcohol as well. Just to you know, drop the bubbles out that are coming to the surface. And I'm pouring this in through his toes just to help those beads settle a bit more. If I lose a few into the body, I don't mind. Don't forget beads with your resin crafts. There's a lot of things you can do with beads. I know Wendy at Toonfish has recently discovered the art of using beads for making little dragonflies with that resin that dries as a film. Dipping resin, I think it's called. And that's pretty awesome too. So, you know, beads I think are making a comeback for very different reasons to what we used to. Okay, I think this is about it. So that foil, I can see some's floating, some's sinking. Yeah, it's doing some interesting things in there. I don't know whether to disturb it. Might disturb the leaves if I do. I think I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to spritz the surface though. That's just 99.9% isopropyl alcohol. It just helps the bubbles to dissipate. You can see they're popping all over the surface now. Right, I can put the last of my leaves away, have a good clean up, and I will see you for the demould. Okay, time for the demould. I've started loosening it off. Its little fingers and toes are still very slightly soft, but the rest's nice and solid. Now, I find it's easier to not break off the little fingers and toes if you demould while it is still slightly soft. So whilst it's a slightly dodgy thing to do, it works for me. And they're a bit weird because of course they're full of beads. So yeah, they're being a bit odd to get off. Anyway, let's carry on around the sides. This is what I meant about that part of the frog. This strange lip here. You can stick your thumb in it and just do that. And it loosens. half the back end, so it's very useful. I'm going to end up having to cut my nails soon. It's nice that they're growing again, but they're not terribly practical for this sort of thing. Come on, you can do it. Come on out. There we are. Right, let's see if I can slide his head out without wrecking his toes. I always find the head the trickiest on these. Oh, feels like they, oh look, I don't know if you can see the leaves as much as I wanted though. Maybe I put too much beads in there. Excuse me while I fight with this for a minute. It's starting to go. It'll suddenly just go in a minute. There we are. Oh, he's lovely. Now, I can't see the leaves as much as I wanted, but you can tell that they're in there. Isn't he nice? So, I think I'm just going to colour his eyes in black. And, yeah, there's our autumn frog. Pleased with him. Right, let's get a pen and do his eyes. There's not even much overspill, which is unusual for me. Right, I used to use Sharpie pens, but recently I've discovered Spectrum Noir pens. And I've, well, I'll say pens. Pen. I've just got one. And I just find that they go on a little bit better. Not the cheapest of pens. But this is a double-ended one. And it's just really nice. I can really get in there like that and follow the lines. It's like a brush tip this end, and the other end's like a little tiny pointy end. But can you see how nicely that's gone on? Oops, sorry, went off camera then. Of course you can get these in metallic colour, metallics, yeah. I'm thinking of getting a set to see if they are a good thing for doing this with, because usually I end up using paint or nail polish and then, oops, sorry, and then touching it in a bit more afterwards, putting clear over the top to make it shiny. But as you can see, that cures, that dries shiny, which makes life a bit easier, doesn't it? That's lovely. Now I could do his smile as well, but I think I'm just going to leave it at just the eyes. I think. I don't know. Anyway, let's have a closer look. Well, you've been looking at it while I've been waffling, haven't you? I think it's lovely. I think I may have wasted some of the maple leaves, but you can sort of see them a bit. But we've got our lovely autumn colours in there. That gold flake has floated. It hasn't all sunk to the bottom. It's mostly the beads that have. So some sunk, some hasn't. It's done what I wanted it to do. It's gone to kind of a bit everywhere. The little beads, I think I probably just overdid them a little bit in the middle on the back. Resin's gone gorgeous and crystal clear. So all in all, thumbs up for the resin. Thumbs up for the stuff I filled this with. And yeah, it's all worked. Oh, the other thing to notice, there's no bubbles in there. And look how easily there could have been a ton of bubbles from using the, you know, putting all those leaves and things in there. Got a couple of tiny ones just on the surface. That is it. That is crystal clear all through. Really pleased with that. So that's the beauty of using a deeper pour resin as well. It just lets all the, it gives it time for it to degas itself. So there we go. Well, if you've liked this video, give me a thumbs up, please. You know where the button is, down below. And I will look forward to seeing you for the next video. Bye, everyone.